Philippine Military Academy produces graduates of the highest caliber who find success in or outside of government service. Its tradition, heraldry, and ceremony create great bonds among the alumni and endlessly fascinate a public that consider the carefully selected cadets as the cream of the youth, once imbued with the highest potential. Its ceremonies therefore merit inordinate attention from a public used to seeing this institution create successful graduates.
In 1985, at the homecoming of the PMA, an event usually covered by the press, members from RAM, having joined the parade of alumni,
Unfurled a banner, "We belong." It set off a flurry of press coverage, speculating on its cryptic message. Eventually, the public would know. The Reform the Armed Forces movement had taken its place to the public eye. Its founders were members of class of 1971 and other junior classes. Many would note that these classes benefited from the Marcos dictatorship, yet they had become aware of the military's uncomfortable role in propping up authoritarian rule and participating in rampant corruption. The stark contrast of the political realities of the period and the ideals hammered and romanced into their heads as cadets proved too much to rationalize. They struggled and discussed the Padrino system, corruption, human rights abuses, incompetent leadership, and the increasing suffering of the masses. Their questioning eventually led to a resolution to go back to their ideals. The EDSA Revolution of 1986, participated in by many members, was followed by a period of confidence and optimism that soon eroded. The mechanisms of corruption remained in place. Favoritism and incompetent leadership based on considerations other than merit
led to a devastating conclusion.
Even worse, political dynastism had come back worse than ever, with new faces establishing new dynasties, capitalizing on their roles in installing a new government. The promise of a new world was revealed as a little more than another group's turn at the feeding through of public funds. Came the objective reality for RAM that reforms in the military, no matter how genuine, would mean nothing without accompanying alterations in the big picture. The military is a microcosm, an image of society. It is a small picture that mirrors the big picture on the bureaucracy, the government, and the various sectors of society. If the universe is corrupt, it necessarily follows that the subset that reflects it is also rotten. That's the reason why RUM would eventually graduate from a reformist to a revolutionary movement, now calling for fundamental restructuring, radical reforms, systemic and structural transformation. In the evening of November 30, 1989, the time have come to put these ideals into action. The war on the old ways had begun. And it was literally a war, fought on the streets of Makati and Quezon City, brother against brother, friend against friend. And like any other war, it had casualties. Among them, our long-held belief that the military action solves ingrained sociological and economic problems rooted in the country's unique historical experience. It was a painful experience with no victories, save one. We were finally heard, but the cost was too high. It was time for soul-searching, for reassessment and dormancy. Time to figure out our place in reforming the country in a matter that would revolutionize the way we govern ourselves. And strangely enough, that became the key word: revolution. The RAM was then registered as the Rebolusyonaryong Alyansang Makabansa, but it lay quiet. The soul-searching continued. In the meantime, there were other organizations brought together by the RAM, and membership grew.
Today, RAM has a membership of more than 400,000 from the military, former military, and civilians. All are committed to the same ideals that spurred action from the founding members. Our painful past gave us insight and resolve, setting aside the armed struggle, concentrating on public service, whether in or out of government. We have undertaken civic action projects, assist in education and awareness building. We continue to actively participate in seeking reforms of the state's machinery of governance. The Nigerians have a saying that we stand on the shoulders of those who come before us. And though many may not know it, we have, as an institution, come quite far. Much of this distance was covered because we learned some very painful lessons, because we have learned to move in a world changing with ever-increasing speed, and because before us, there have been good men, forging paths where there were none, forcing and leading us into better ways. Many of these men did not receive their just recognition or reward, and many fell quietly in the night, their passing marked only by us, their brothers and their kin. It is a future we all understand can be ours. And yet these paths have led us to today, a time of transition. Today, we mark a beginning, knowing very well that we are taking our place in a stream of history, peopled by great men, and their greatness was marked by the distance of their vision and their ability to get down to work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to roll up our sleeves, set our compasses, and get down to the business of serving and protecting. On behalf of my friends and brethren from the Rebolusyonaryong Alyansang Makabansa, This is your servant, Danny Lim, saying, thank you very much, and God bless us all.